Hey guys, we are going to write an offer. This is going to be an actual offer. I'm going to go over the parts of the offer that will change and some of the parts that are basically just tried and true no matter what we do. First thing I always do is open up my zip forms and then I pull up the actual listing because you don't want to get the information wrong and you're going to have to copy and paste some stuff. So I'm doing that here. And first thing I'm going to note is the listing agent and office code. Listing agent's name is Jim Powell. This is actually co-listed. I just put the first agent. It doesn't really matter. You're not really concerned about how they're going to chop it up. So we're going to 2,500 and Jim Powell, and then Remax Pace Realty 417. So we're going to go into our zip forms, click on the folder we have made for our document, and we're going to go up to the transaction, which is right here. So we pull up the purchase agreement and we're loading the form. I wish there was a way to zoom out. It seems like really clogged up. Like I said, this is new. Wow, they all show up. So you can actually click them now. That's cool. So Remax Pace Realty, and their code is 417. So that's where this goes because we're under the listing broker. Okay. And I'm going to put Jim Powell. Oh my God, this is so cool. That it like finds everybody. That's awesome. So I'm going to put his individual code. Selling broker. And now selling broker, you kind of realize selling broker, we're the selling broker because we brought the buyer. That's a little backwards. Of course, the Lions Group doesn't show up. And I want everyone to know that the legal name for our company is the Lions Group Real Estate. Our office code is 1768. And then you were going to put in your personal code. So you put your name, and then my personal code is 12976. Here we go. The date, we're going to use today's date. My buyer, you are only going to put who is taking title. So this is going to go to Daniel York. And so it's already populated. Let's double check the township. So that's the address. We want to make sure it's the right township. I'm pretty sure it was Center Township, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. It's better to take an extra second and make sure you're right than make a mistake. So the next thing we're going to do is go into legal description, which is right here. And then we're going to copy and paste it. These are usually a lot longer. This is a pretty short one, but regardless, you want to copy and paste it. This is where it says basically all the fixtures that are there are going to stay with the home. I always write on any offer, all appliances listed in the MLS to stay. You can do a personal property addendum. I don't really like doing them, but you know. And then just once again, just to double check, make sure that all those appliances that were there are listed in the MLS, just that there was no issues. Also, I would recommend that when you write an offer, I would recommend you print out an agent detail of that offer. So if the commission changes after you're under contract, which I've never had it happen to me, but it's definitely happened, you have proof that, hey, when I wrote this contract, it said 2.5% instead of 2% or 1.5%. So there's other ways to prove that if you, for some hot reason, lose the MLS sheet, but it's a good thing to just have and keep with your file. Excludes the following, nothing. This is about home heating fuel. Obviously, this is not a propane heated house, so I'm going to put not applicable. Purchase price. This is where you put the purchase price of the home, obviously, and then it writes it out for you. Earnest money. Earnest money is most cases $1,000. And then I always put 48, and then you check hours, 48 hours of acceptance. Method of payment. We're going to have a new mortgage, and this is going to be an FHA. If you wanted to use cash, you just check cash. And then we're going to fill out all of this. So new mortgage with FHA. Now, I want you guys to know this is the second video we've done. If you have questions on all this, we're going to go through everything. Bear with me as we get bigger. We're going to add more and more videos, so it will answer all these questions. FHA is 3.5% down, so we're going to get a mortgage for 96.5, which is the balance. It's a 30-year mortgage, interest rate not to exceed 4.5, and I just leave the points part blank. He is asking for a closing cost credit, so the way we write this is seller to contribute $3,800 to buyer's closing costs and prepaids. That's the way to write that. It should always be written that way. Time for obtaining financing. Within 7 days of the acceptance agreements, buyers agrees to make written application for any financing necessary, and then no more than 45 days after this acceptance of this agreement shall be allowed for obtaining loan approval. Closing date, obviously I write most of my contracts for 45 days. The seller in this case has asked for a little bit over 60-day escrow. They don't want to move out until March 15th. So, yeah, that's that. This is another issue, or within blank days after clear. What you would write is, or within 3 days after clear to close. So if you get a clear to close on the mortgage and the home is vacant, then they can just move in after we have our clear to close. Fee. Hold on, buddy. Fees. This is basically the cost to get the closing agent to the table to close it. And in Indiana, we share it equally. It's one of those things that is just always shared equally. Contingency. So they've changed this. Hold on 1 second. Hold on, buddy. Sorry about that. Okay, we're going back to contingency. So this is where we're going to fill out if they have a home to sell, if they have a home that's under contract, or if they don't have a home to sell. Obviously, not having a home to sell is the easiest one because it's just one transaction. All we have to worry about is that. So that's this. It is not contingent upon the closing of another transaction. And this would say it is contingent on the pending transaction. So say if you have a listing that is sold and they're buying another house, you would list their other house once it's under contract. Or if you want to do a contingent on sale, they have a area for that right here. So that's actually awesome. That's a change this year. That's actually a good change. So possession will be delivered at closing. If there's a situation with post-possession, then we would write that in here. For each day seller is entitled to possession after closing, that we're just going to put some dashes here because hold on, buddy. So this is not really applicable. Sorry about that. And then this one is important. If the seller does not deliver possession by the date and time required in this first sentence of the paragraph, shall pay buyer blank per day. I always use 1%, 0.1% of the purchase price. So in this case, 150, basically round numbers. If it was closer to 200,000, we do 200 per day. Survey. Here's the general rule that I use for surveys. If it's in a subdivision, we waive it all the time. There's no reason to learn the lot lines if you're in a subdivision. It's a waste of money. It just should be waived. If you're buying something with acreage and they don't have a survey, ask for something. They're about $500. So, oh God. Okay, hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. I actually had to buy this stuff to continue recording, which is great. Okay, so that's what I said about surveys. Basically, we're just going to avoid them if they're in a subdivision. Flood insurance, always, under any circumstances, we want to be able to get our clients out of a deal that requires flood insurance. So we want to click may, and may terminate this agreement if the property requires flood insurance, and buyer may terminate this agreement if the property is subject to building or use limitations by reason of the location, blah, blah, blah. 30 days for homeowners insurance. This is the part about inspections. Obviously, we can waive the right to have an inspection done, but 99.9% of your buyers should have inspections done. So we are going to always put 14 days. I know it seems like a lot, but you got to realize you have to order the inspection, perform the inspection, and then get a chance to go over it with your buyers. So it goes pretty quick. This section right here that I'm leaving blank is basically environmental contaminants. So mold, radon. I don't have any other ones that I would add. I've never added them. But if say we do the inspection and we need additional testing, we'll have 7 additional days from the deadline to do testing for like additional environmental contaminants. Okay, so home warranty program. I went back and forth with home warranties. I've now always tried to get a home warranty for my buyer just because you don't want to be the agent that didn't get one. So we charge it to the seller and ordered by the buyer. So the seller is going to pay for it, and then the buyer will order it, which means we will order it. Has and has, this just basically stating that we have viewed the leather-based paint and seller's disclosures, and we have signed them. Title approval. Prior to closing, 100% of my closings have been the first one, a title insurance commitment for the most current and comprehensive Alta. Owner's title insurance, because it's the owner, it gets charged to the seller. Lender's title insurance will get charged to the buyer. The only time we do anything else is if it's a cash deal, we check other and then type in NA, because there's no lender's title insurance when we have a cash deal. Parties agree that the seller or buyer will select a title insurance company. I almost always use the seller because it makes the offer a little bit more attractive. The only time I would use the buyer is if we are doing a dual closing, meaning they are selling a house and buying a house on the same day. That makes it way easier if we use the same title company. They will order the title commitment immediately. Taxes. This is maybe the most important thing that I will talk about in this offer. Always, with no exception, check number 2. This will cause your buyer to get a tax proration, and they will be very happy about it. They will be very sad if you check number 1. Let's go down here. Homeowners Association. This one is not in a homeowners association, so I put 2 dashes, meaning that I read it, but it does not apply. The rest of the stuff doesn't really apply. I am going to put in something in further conditions that will not apply to most situations. The reason I'm doing it is this property, in my opinion, is incredibly overpriced, and I want to protect my buyers from wasting money moving forward. So the way I'm going to word it is property will appraise at seller will here's the issue I'm having with this. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. I was trying to figure out how the best way to word this, and then my kid had a meltdown, so that's life. This is not, further conditions is not something I normally put in. Like I said, this is going to probably not appraise. So I wrote, seller will reimburse buyer for cost of appraisal if and only if property does not appraise at agreed upon purchase price and seller is not willing to come down to appraised price. That's just a way to protect my buyers from wasting money on appraisal. Acknowledgements. This is not a limited agency transaction. The only time you're going to have a limited agency transaction is if you and another agent from the Lions Group work on a deal, or you represent the buyer and the seller on the same deal. Expiration of offer. There's a lot of talk about this. I will tell you the best way to do this. You give them 24 hours from the time you will have the offer signed. It is currently 5:30, so I'm going to say they'll get till 6 p.m. tomorrow. So write in 6 p.m. on the 12th. You don't want to give them longer than necessary, but you want to give them enough time to get the offer countered, accepted, or rejected. There we go. So that's basically it. Then we're going to send this off with the other applicable documents to get e-signed, and then we go from there. That's really it. Thanks. Okay, guys, I'm actually going to add this to the end of the video because I forgot a pretty important part. So what we want to do is we want to make, I mentioned this in the ZipForms video, when we send over an offer, we want to make them sign all the stuff at once. So we're not going back to them, hey, sign this thing. Hey, sign this thing. Obviously, our goal is to make this as easy as possible for them. So we're going to make sure we have all of our documents ready to go at once. The documents that we need for a purchase agreement are the actual purchase agreement, the lead-based paint, the seller's disclosure, and then the Lions Group office policy. You have to get this signed, okay, for every deal. So now, once we have all four of them, we're going to go to e-sign, and then we're going to go to create a new signature packet. Name of the packet, I just name it something, York Purchase Agreement. Signing service is always ZipLogic Digital Ink. Select documents to include. So we're going to select all. So all four of these. Okay, and then click close. So we see them all there. This is actually the order they'll come in. I always lead with the first one because that's what they'll see first. And then that's the biggest one. So then we're going to add the signers, transaction party, Daniel York and Megan York. That's where their names show up. So then we're just going to add in their email. I'm going to do Megan's first because I have it right here. Meg York, 1983 at gmail.com. Okay. Now we click the little arrow next to her, and we go up to Daniel. And York Photography 79 at gmail.com. Click his name as well. So now we have the two parties we are going to send these signatures to. Security option, no. So that's it. So that's ready. So we're going to click next. No thanks to the cybersecurity, like we discussed. My son is just howling in the background. Anyway. Okay, so now this is going to actually pull up the whole offer. It's really a good idea to just go through and verify that everything is exactly how you want it to be, because you don't want to make a costly mistake. As I just skipped down to the bottom. Oh my God, they changed this too. This is they improved this a lot. So this will auto-pop any form that is made by the GNIR library will auto-populate these signatures above. The only ones that won't are the lead-based paint. You actually have to put those things in. So those are external documents, like I said. So we're going to put initial for Megan, initial for Megan, and then initial. And then we're going to select Daniel. Okay, same thing. Initials right there. You guys won't ever realize this, but this is so much better than it used to be. And then we're going to put signatures. So we'll do a signature for Daniel. Collect Megan, do a signature for Megan. And now we're moving on to the seller's disclosure. Okay, so we're in the seller's disclosure, and then we're just going to have the buyers sign right here where it says buyers. So pull the little signature over. I cannot express to you how much better this is. This is so much better. It's like they actually took an agent that did deals and had them design it. Because it used to like come up really big and then just be in the way. Why? Okay, where is this going? What? No, we got to sign both pages. So you sign both pages of the seller's disclosure. Okay, yeah. Okay, come on. New York. And we're going to select Megan again. Okay, and then that's it. We got to do the Lions Group office policy. I don't know why it's all selected like that. Okay, so here, property address. This is where you're going to add in text. Okay, so we got to put a signature down. Okay, so signature. Obviously, this is going to be buyer's name. And then New York. Okay, so they're both down there. And then we go up, put down text. And we're going to write in 1203 Lind Lane. Like I said, this is super important to just do one time. You don't want to go back and forth. So we got to go under here in the value. So 1203 Lind Lane. Click apply. Here we go. And that's it. That's all you got to do. Super easy. You click send. And change this again. I don't know why it didn't get changed because I updated it. The Lions Group Real Estate Team. Okay, just click send. And then you can actually see where it went. Transaction was successfully started. I always inform, so if it says one right here, one to Megan, text Megan and say, hey, you have the zip form. So she needs to go through and click everything, and then it'll send to Daniel. He needs to go through and click everything, and then it will send back to me as a nice little PDF. Sorry this video was so long, but